Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the channel. So this is the first war of season 48. This is the first season that I'll be actually recording every single fight of every single war. So I'm pretty excited about that to share with all of you, as well as I think it'll be useful for me to be able to just see how I progress over the course of the season. This is the first season of a new meta. Those of you who play War, or if you're just, if you keep up on the forums, there's been a lot of outcry about the difficulty, or at least the perceived difficulty of this meta. A lot of people saying that it's much worse than even the previous meta, which was notoriously punishing already. Personally, I guess just based on what I've seen in the off season, I think it is certainly a difficult meta, but I think it's one that is, especially after the tune down that Kabam gave it, I think it's manageable. And I do think that over the course of a few wars, as we all get more and more comfortable with it, I think, if anything, my prediction is that we end up finding this meta to be less difficult than the previous one was. And even the previous one, if you've seen any of the top YouTubers who are in Masters tier alliances, you saw that they were, towards the end of last season, they were finishing with like 4 or 5 deaths for the whole alliance. And even my alliance, in tier 2, we were typically doing between 10 and 20 deaths per battle group, which it's not as low as I would like, but it's not sky high either, right? So I anticipate that we'll probably be in that same range after a few wars of this season. So I've had these, what my path looks like going on in the background here. Let's actually restart this. So this is path 4. I'm going to be facing off first against Lady Deathstrike on the first node. It's going to be followed by a Hit Monkey, and only a 6-star rank 4 Hit Monkey at that. So those two fights I'm not too concerned about. And then on the second half of path 4, the Alliance has elected to place 2 Zemos in a row, which is an interesting strategy. We'll see how it plays out once I actually get to those fights, but I personally don't think this is a good tactic to place the same defender twice in a row on the same path. I think you're just giving your opponent the opportunity to optimize their attack team for that particular defender, right? As well as just to get comfortable fighting that defender, especially on this path. Those two nodes are actually fairly similar. But we'll see how that goes, right? And then I've selected 2 mini boss fights for myself. One is this Thing Mini, where he has personal space regen, and then the second one is this Gore fight, where it's reinvigorated and unblockable, plus the Burden of Might node. Let's see what this first fight is going to look like more in depth. So again, it is going to be Lady Deathstrike. The node here is one where if you have 3 or more debuffs on you, then the defender is going to proc a fairly potent Fury. And also, just by virtue of being close to the defender, you are going to automatically get some debuffs. I believe it's fatigue debuffs automatically placed on you in this node, and you have to back off to let them expire. Lady Deathstrike is not a tactic defender. There's nothing really about her that makes her particularly problematic, at least in my view, when you're talking about these nodes. But it is a 7-star rank too, so it's not one to be taken too lightly. I am going to come in with Kushala. Kushala doesn't have anything in particular that lets her deal well with Lady Deathstrike, but she's one of my stronger attackers. I'm going to need her later in this war, and I felt like she could do just fine with this fight. So the game plan is going to be, really the main thing with Lady Deathstrike is that she has this ferocity mode that she can activate when she gets more than, I think, 75 charges. And when she's in that ferocity mode, her specials will be unblockable. So her specials aren't the hardest of decks, but they can catch you off guard. So just in case, my plan is that I'm going to try and make sure that I activate that ferocity once she has less than 1 bar of power, so that I'm not caught off guard by a unblockable special attack. Once ferocity does start, by default, it's going to be paused on her, paused indefinitely. So the way that you unpause it is you hit into her block. So I'm just going to try and make sure that when I see ferocity, go and strike her block. That'll unpause it. I think it'll take 9 seconds for it to die off. And then, because of the node, I just want to back off periodically and let those fatigue debuffs die off. So that's the game plan. Let's go back to the video to see how that actually plays out in practice. So again, it's Kushala is the attacker that I've chosen to deal with this fight. I'm still a relative noob when it comes to Kushala. I pulled her once the featured crystal launched, actually a few days after the featured crystal launched. So still getting the hang of her, but felt confident enough with her to take this fight. So I have my my spells up. Get caught by that, it does barely any damage, doesn't matter. So I throw my first L2 to put a soul barb up. And she's got those 3 buffs plus the armor buff, so it's going to tick for a fair amount. Over 2k per tick, especially after I get some more incinerates up on her. So now she has 2 bars of power. I want to go ahead and let her throw that, if she would be kind enough to do so. But she's being a little bit stingy. The soul barb dives off, and now she still has 40% health. Finally, she does throw it. I'm in the corner. It's a little bit nervous, but I'm able to get back out. Throw the L1 to put some more incinerates up on her. It doesn't really matter that she did her nanobots nonsense, so she isn't ferocity, that wasn't unblockable. I haven't been mindful about actually hitting into block to unpause, but it's fine. The fight is almost over at this point. So I go ahead and throw the L2 even though she has 2 bars of power, because I know that this is going to kill her pretty quickly. And it does. So that's one fight in the bag. Not too bad. So let's go ahead and see what this next fight is going to look like. So Hitmonkey, it's only a 6-star rank 4 Hitmonkey. And Hitmonkey is not really the hardest defender. He is a tricky defender because it only takes one slight mistake for him to really punish you, right? He hits really hard, but he doesn't have the highest health pool. His special, at least the special one, is easy to dex. And again, it's only a 6-star rank 4, so all the more that he's going to die fairly quickly. So again, it's a similar note to the previous one, where 3 debuffs means that he procs a Fury. You have to stay away for those to die off. He is tactic, but there's not really too much I have to think about in order to deal with that tactic. I am going to come in with a tactic attacker in Bishop, and the game plan is going to be basically get to L2 and kill, right? So in order to make sure that it kills, I don't want him to be indestructible, so I'm not going to full dex his L1. I'm just going to try and get out of the way without proccing dex, and I'm going to just block that final bullet that he throws. Periodically just throw some lights into blocks so they build up even more prowess, and again, I'm not going to heavy, I'm not going to throw any specials before the L2, and hopefully the L2 will just kill him fairly quickly. So let's fire up the fight. So I go ahead and I do 4-hit combos, back off, partially just to be safe and partially also to let those debuffs just expire naturally. So I do parry that bullet, so that's good. I'm quickly getting to my 2 bars. Let's see, do I bother baiting this L1 or do I just throw it? I decided to just throw it. Yeah, so I was pretty sure he was going to die fairly quickly. He probably could have been at full health and I still would have killed him with that 1 L2. Okay, so next fight is going to be a Baron Zemo. So pulling up the info sheet that I created here. This node, on the second half, this is where you start dealing with unblockable instead of the Fury buff. So it's a much more difficult version of the node. So again, 3 debuffs means that he goes unblockable, and he's going to stay unblockable until all debuffs expire off of you. And the node itself is going to put a couple of debuffs on you every time that he throws a special. Now Zemo, it's a little bit of interesting tactic, placement here, because he doesn't actually, unless you get into trouble, put in debuffs on you, right? The disorient that he puts on you when he activates his L1 is not a debuff, it's a passive. He can put indefinite bleed debuffs on you if you get hit by, I think, like the last hit of his L1, or if you get hit by his L2, but you know, if you let that happen, then you're already in a lot of trouble. So yeah, nothing too unique for this node, but I am still a little bit worried because the fact that he's tactic means that if he gets too many disorients up on you, then it's not just a simple matter now of just, okay, well, I'll parry to get rid of the indestructibles, because with some disorients on, it doesn't really take too many disorients on you before those even parries start to really hurt quite a bit. So I want to kill him quickly if I can. No surprise, I'm going to come in with Bishop again. And again, it's all about that L2, right? Can I throw that L2, a big L2, and kill him? And just to make sure, I'm going to use a mutant power back boost and a special 1 boost. You'll see how that goes, right? But just if my first L2 doesn't kill him, then the theory is, well, I'll quickly get back to a second L2, and that definitely will kill him. All right, so let's see the fight in action. What I didn't really think about was that Bishop starts his fights with the same number of bars of power as he finished the last fight with, right? So that power start 1 plus the 2 bars that I finished the previous fight with meant that I started with an L3. So not the end of the world. The L3 actually is pretty powerful on his part, so go ahead and throw it. You can see it does quite a bit of damage, like 30% of his health right up there. So I'm feeling pretty good at this point. He throws the L1 pretty quickly. I'm already at 2 bars of power. I throw it. Hopefully it kills. Not quite. So another clenched charge gone, which isn't really the end of the world, right? I see his health is low enough that even though I didn't want to throw L1s, I knew I was just going to kill him with the specials. So so the fight went according to plan for the most part, right? Other than the power start 1 boost being, if anything, a detriment to me. But yeah, I can't complain with how that fight progressed. Okay, so there is now a second Zemo after this one. Again, a similar node, except that this time, instead of the specials proccing 2 debuffs on you, now there's this painful retreat node, which means that you get a power sting on you periodically, and you have to pass I think a multiple of 10 on your combo meter in order to get rid of that power sting. But still, it's a similar fight, so I'm going to come in with similar tactics. Namely, kill him as quickly as possible. Bishop, I still have that power start 1 boost active. I still have my power back boost active. So throw those L2s, kill him quickly. The one key thing here, because there is a power sting, is make sure that power sting is not active when I throw my special. Okay, so let's see the video. So this time, I'm able to throw the L2 right away. It does a fair bit of damage, I should say. 30% health. I was hoping for more, but it's fine. I didn't have that much prowess on me. And now here's the big mistake, is I thought I was going to be at 2 bars after that combo finished, and only at 1 bar. Which triggers a bunch of problems here, right? One is that it pushed him to 2 bars of power when I thought I was going to kill him with the L2. And I have now this, what is it called? The unsteady release. So I'm going to be proccing his cleanses. He's going to be rooting me. He's indestructible. I'm not feeling great at this point. He gets a hit in. I'm trying my best to just dodge everything. But I got out of the root, so now, even though my health is below 50%, I'm really not that worried at this point. I know I just have to kind of hit into his block until he gets a bar of power. I want to bait out the special. At some point, I'm going to be able to, through a combination of countering his specials as well as just doing my own specials, I'll be able to kill him. So he's down below 10%. 1 more special to bait out, if even. I don't know if I even bother waiting or if I just kill him. Oh, that was actually a very dangerous one. He could have sidestepped that one and destroyed me. I forgot about that. But, so finally he does throw it, and I think it's just going to be a couple hits here. 3 hits and he's done. Okay. So, definitely a little bit more dangerous than I would have liked, but any fight where I don't die is a successful one. At least in this early phase of this meta. So on to the 5th fight, which again is Thing. So the first couple of nodes don't really matter, right? I'm going to be getting placebo buffs on me. Who cares? If I was immune to anything that he... immune to any effects that he tries to put on me, then he's going to get some power gain. Again, that's not going to be relevant here. The key thing is this regen aspect of the node, as well as its enhanced recovery. So if you've ever taken this fight, you know that there is a real danger, especially with Thing, which is why he's always placed here, right? Is that since Thing fights tend to be slow to begin with, it's very easy for him to, over the course of the fight, build up a lot of regens to the point where you have no hope of actually outpacing that regen with your own damage. So my plan is basically to cheese this. Fortunately, Void is a tactic attacker this season. I actually ranked him up just for this season. I had him at 6-star rank 3, Sig 200 for the longest time. Finally, I have an excuse, and rank up materials are a lot cheaper now, at least as far as 6-star rank 4 is concerned, so that was an easy decision for me to go ahead and take him to R4. I'm just going to treat it like a normal thing fight, as if I was like dueling him. Just take him up to 15 rock stacks and make sure that he has more than 1 bar of power, bait that out. Just deal with the tactic a little bit, right? Combination of parries plus lights in the block to remove those indestructibles. And at some point, once I've got enough of my, whatever they're called, intimidating debuffs up, right, I'm going to be reversing that regen, and then he's just going to melt. At least that's the theory. Let's see how it works out in practice. So let's turn on this video. And so again, parry, 5-hit combo, rinse repeat until he has 15 rock stacks, bait L1. That's going to be the pattern for this fight. So he's got 15. He fortunately throws it right away. I'm going to throw my L1, load up those intimidating presence debuffs. Neither one of them are petrifies yet, so he's still healing up, but it's fine. I'm just going to keep on going. 12 rock stacks, 13, 14, 15. Bait again. Let's throw that L1. Still, somewhat bad luck, right? No petrifies, but it really doesn't matter. So back to 15 rock stacks. I'm going to get pushed to 2 bars, which actually is probably a good thing. So that first petrify kicks in. And I am going to throw an L2, which means that actually, I'll stay with these 5 debuffs up for a longer period of time. So, well, plus 2 for the Dark Sting, so it's actually good. So now you can see that his health is starting to melt. 2 petrifies up plus all those other debuffs. So Despair is putting in work as well. So I'm going to keep on going. Fear of the Void kicked in. I already have 2 Intimidating Presence debuffs, one of them being a Petrify, so again, that health is going to tick away pretty quickly, especially as he starts building up regens. Just keep on building him up to 15 rock stacks and letting him throw specials. Really no problems at all with this fight so far. The second Fear of the Void is going to kick in pretty soon. We should make this quick work. I think I end up getting a little bit held up here. I have to bait out this special. His regens actually fall off fairly naturally, which is kind of interesting, right? Usually when you're playing the style, you feel like the regens are just beyond control, and here, without even really thinking about it, in fact, trying to have regens pile up, they're not. But anyway, we get our debuffs back up, he does proc a few regens, and then it's good night thing. Okay, and the final fight of the war, which is this Gore. It is the reinvigorated unblockable node plus burden of might, right? So what that means is that every time, or every number of regions that he procs, I think 10, he's going to go unblockable, and Gore does proc regen fairly easily. And then secondly, this burden of might means that if I do get buffs on me, that's going to inhibit my own combat power rate, as well as it's going to drain my power every time I proc one of those buffs. Plus, there's high energy diet. Not really that relevant, even though I am going to be coming in with, spoiler alert, Void again. And Void's specials are energy attacks. His regular combo hits aren't, and I'm planning on doing most of my damage via the direct damage from those damaging debuffs, or those intimidating presence debuffs. So, again, I'm going to try and avoid triggering that dex, that precision buff, as much as I can. I want to bait the L1s. I don't want to see that L2. Again, tactic defender, so fight the tactic, right? Lights in the block to remove the indestructibles. I don't want to parry too much in this fight, right? Because he can inflict his damage over time debuffs through the block. And one of the questions I had in mind coming into this, and I talked about this a little bit on my stream a couple of days ago, right, is that the fact that Gore is immune to heal block debuffs, and on this node, that Indomitable node, means that you're not actually able to reverse his regen. It's that every time regen would be reversed, it's actually just blocked. So is he immune to that effect? I actually don't know for sure. I didn't think so, but I wasn't 100% confident about that, but for whatever reason, I avoided asking anybody about this and decided to just test it out for myself. So let's see how the fight goes. Again, it's Void that I'm attacking with. I just want to bait the L1s repeatedly, take off Indestructibles if they do come up, try to avoid blocking as much as possible, and just slowly tick them away with my Intimidating Presence debuffs. So the fight's starting off pretty well. I'm able to get to my L1 without having triggered any buffs on me. Here's another special that he throws, which I'm able to evade without actually proccing Dex. It's going pretty well so far. Still waiting to see what happens when the Indomitable node kicks in. We only have one Petrify up at this point. So now he's being a little bit of a pain, but that's fine, just hit into his block a little bit. So now you can see Indomitable does kick in, and he is not healing, so that's a good thing. So we counter another L1. He's about 30% down at this point, so I'm feeling pretty confident about the fight at this point. His power is kind of high. I want to bait out that L1. I really don't want to push him to 2 bars, so I do actually proc a dexterity buff there. So I'm power drained. Wanting to bait that. His power's getting high, and then disaster. He catches me on a bad dash back. You know, the combo hits and the DOT I could withstand, but the big thing is that he's unblockable and he's got an L2, and I don't feel confident doing the full evade. And as you can see, I tried it and it did not work out for me. So now I know that I'm just dead. Nothing I can do. First war of the season, first death of the season. Pretty annoyed about that. This should be a fairly straightforward fight, and I just screwed it up with not sticking to the game plan. But he'll back up and come back in. You know, the real key is just don't let him get to 2 bars of power, whatever you do. Yeah, so... he's ticking down steadily. You know, I'm able to, again, get at least a few specials in without proccing Dex. So here's a couple of damaging, intimidating debuffs on him. Now 3 of them. Just gotta bait out that L1. And he's starting to build up some Indestructibles, but I can't panic about that. That's fine, right? I can know that I'll have my opportunities to just hit into block and get rid of his Indestructibles. So even though it's 3 here, no big deal. 3 hits into block and they're all gone. So now his health is ticking down again, slowly but surely. Close to 30% now. The heal block has kicked in again. I'm able to throw my L1. It's indestructible, but again, it's fine. I'll get it off in due course. Here the Void kicks in. So it is getting a little bit annoying here. His indestructible keeps coming back, but as long as I'm just mindful of it. There it is again. So it's making this last 20% or so take a little bit longer than I'd like. But again, this is a safe fight, as long as you just play carefully. There's really no special skills required for this other than just patience. Unfortunately, I did get impatient in my previous attempt. But lesson learned for more fights, for the fights going forward this season. So now I've got a lot of debuffs on him. Just have those indestructibles, but I'll clear them off. Beta heavy, and now he goes down. So the cleanup went the way it was supposed to, right? It wasn't a quick fight, 2 minutes to do half its health, but yeah, it was easy as long as I would just show it some patience. So I'm right about that, but again, you know what? That's how you learn. That's what I'm in this alliance to do, right? I haven't done high tier war in a while, leading up to this when I joined them, whatever it was, about a month ago. So getting comfortable. I am feeling increasingly comfortable, even if I am making silly mistakes here and there still. But I think those will go away in time. All right. So as far as how we actually ended up doing this war, you can see that we lost. So they ended up beating us by actually a fairly healthy margin, 14 attack bonuses they had over us. You can see that they had fairly low diversity. So they elected to go in and just place a ton of duplicate hard defenders, tactic defenders. I think that is the right strategy, even though I was saying that you don't want to put two of the same fight in a row, but having a lot of maybe duplicate fights across the map, while people are still figuring out this meta and figuring out the hardest defenders in this meta, I think that's actually the smart way to go. So came up on the short end of this one, but I do think that my battle group in particular, I think we did all right. We had 14 deaths. Yeah, I feel like we'll be able to manage this this tactic quite effectively as we all get more comfortable with it as the season progresses. So that'll do it for this one. Please do like and subscribe if you like this style of war video. Again, I will be doing every single war this season. And please do leave some feedback in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see me do differently. All right, take care. Have a good day.